The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku, has reassured Nigerians that if elected president in 2023, he would ensure that the men and women who would form his cabinet are appointed strictly based on merit and federal character. Atiku assured Nigerians, irrespective of ethnicity, region, and religion, that the entire nation would be his constituency. Arise analyst Kayode Otitoju joins us now to discuss the process and criteria for making political appointments and the possibility of the PDP presidential candidate living up to his promise. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, Cynthia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Otitoju.
Looking charming as ever.
Thank you. I'm just trying to copy you.
Me?
Okay. Truth be told, politicians always do the talking. But when it comes to Atiku, I remember during the town hall when he was asked about the exploring, you're using the health facilities in Nigeria for specific reasons. He actually said no, he wouldn't, because there was an issue there. And that for me stood out in that town hall, because I actually got a sense of honesty that he was telling people what might have seemed to be him shooting himself in the foot, but he appeared honest. Now, when it comes to this, what he says it would be based on merit, I'm wondering how that rubbed off on you. Did you get a sense of sincerity, or what do you think about this?
He's a man of his word. And this is born out of experience and my interaction with him, covertly or overtly. I was in the same party, political party, PDP, with him from 2006 to, I think, 2010. Okay? PDP. And when he was vice president to Papa Obasanjo, he was directly in charge of appointments. And the procedure for appointments, once a new president is sworn in, he first appoints the ministers. And the ministers, you have no choice. You must follow federal character, because each of the 36 states must be represented. Once that is settled, the next is ambassadors. The ambassadors are always two categories. The ones that, grew through the rank, okay, and the political. Okay, so they always have, in some states, two ambassadors. One will be career ambassador, another one will be political. So once that stage is crossed and the ambassadorial, positions are put in place, the next is the board of parastatals and agencies. Okay? When I was in his party and Obasanjo was the president and Atiku was in charge of most of these appointments, he followed everything dogmatically. The president has to appoint the ministers. The ambassadors, still more or less the president. But the head of parastatals and what have you is always done by the vice president and his chief of staff. I think one Kogi man was his chief of staff then, and they were accessible by all. And how he did his own was, I know Chief Bode George was put in charge of Southwest. And like that, the 6th geopolitical zone, the leaders were the people who compiled the names of the political, would-be appointees. And what they did was, later, they now share it according to state. grade A board, grade B, grade C. Grade A are always, chairmanship, maybe maximum 2 per state. But the grade C, you can have up to 50, appointment. And that was how it was done religiously. And I'm sure probably he even checked the list before they were rolled out. Compared to what we have now, because I left PDP in 2014, I joined APC. I left APC in year 2022. So I know APC. As I'm talking, the people appointed to board in 2015 by Buhari have not been changed as I'm talking. I mean federal board, not board like a post authority where the people will start something are the ministers or what. I'm talking of the board that will be started by the SGF, Secretary to the Government, who will now, people who contested Senate, they didn't win, Rep, they didn't win, how to pacify them with appointment. That's not been done till now. So when people like Atiku are talking of order and following the order, I think I'm in position to second this motion, right? Because of my interaction with the two leading parties and what obtains there. Now, apart from the board too, there are some positions that are statutory. They call them statutory board, like Population Commission, INEC, Revenue Mobilization, and something commission. Those are statutory, and they are like next to ambassadorial in terms of both pay and whatever. They are even more stable once you are appointed there than ambassador. Ambassador could be removed. Okay? But once you are either head of population or whatever, unless you resign, just like. So, those ones too are supposed to follow federal character. That is, if head of population commission is from Southwest, Northwest could be head of INEC. And that was followed. But here, statutory boards, the head of INEC is Northerner. The Revenue Mobilization and something commission, immediately Mbam left, is Northerner. The head of even population. So you just see that actually no order. So when someone who is competing with you is now saying, this is how I will do it, because you haven't been doing it the right way, then, you have room for comparison. That doesn't mean that if Tinubu gets there, he won't follow the real order. Some of these things depends on the kitchen cabinet of the number one person. The kitchen cabinet are the people dictating. Buhari doesn't know they will just say it's appointed by Mr. President. Mr. President hardly see these people. So people who rally around you, are the people that give the name and the nickname that your government will be.
Mr. Otitoju, having painted this background, you know, you look at former President Obasanjo, and the era in which he was president is very different to where we find ourselves now. With the climate, the political climate has changed drastically. So what President Obasanjo had to do to become president and in turn have Atiku as his vice president is entirely different to where we are now. With, you know, the stakes. We're not coming from a military government where we're a democracy, we're a thriving democracy now. Having said that, as you rightfully pointed out, with the current administration, there were various attempts to pacify people and reward people and so forth. And we all know that political appointments are a balance between rewarding loyalists and finding one or two competent people. Striking that balance is very difficult to do. Now, given the background of how the presidential candidate for the PDP, Atiku, emerged, how he received his ticket, which is that there are several people, specifically people like Governor Tambuwal, who will need to have a say, who will most likely need to be rewarded in one form or another. And also looking at the fact that the PDP currently, their biggest issue within the party is the fact that they are failing to balance the representation of geopolitical zones. What's the guarantee that if you can't do this within your own party, that you will now be able to commit to this huge, because with regards to what you're pointing out, it's a transformational change that's going to have to come. Several people are going to have to be shuffled out. I'm talking about excluding, of course, the cabinet and the diplomatic corps, which is normal. But when you look at parastatals and so forth, this is a mammoth task. He may be a man of his word, and in the past as a vice president, he may have been able to achieve it. But going into this term, do you think that this is the type of thing that he's going to pursue? And how much political capital do you think it'll cost him by the time he steps on all the toes he needs to step so that everybody is represented?
You see, Atiku pre-election is different from Atiku post-election. Now he has to judge and see how they win election. The moment the election is won, you will now see both his ascribed and achieved personality traits and how he governs. I'm saying the pedigree, his past this thing. This is how he was able to handle things. And that DNA is still in him. Are you with me?
So why is Ayu still there?
Why is Ayu still there? It's because it's still pre-election problem. He has no power to remove Ayu. But the moment he becomes president, he becomes #1 citizen of Nigeria and the leader of the party. Okay? He can do so many things. He can do so many things. But now he can't. He can't. So let's just, and when I look at the three leading parties, leading by popularity, you see that actually we are lucky. If any of them becomes president, we are lucky. Things won't be as bad as it is. Because, is it Peter Obi? You have never had one-on-one relationship with him, but everybody can be wrong. If people say you are good, and everybody says you are good, then you are good. Is it Tinubu? At least we've seen how he brings people together, people of different geopolitical zone when he was in Lagos. Is it Atiku that I just described? So, head or tail, Nigeria will win if any of the three wins.
Very well said, Mr. Otitoju. But now I want us to go into specifics. With the recent gesture or decision that was made by Atiku, where he appointed or he replaced the Oyo State Governor with the Osun State Governor as the coordinator for the Presidential Campaign Council, I'm wondering, from an observer's point of view, do you think that window for reconciliation has closed regarding the integrity group?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. In the Southwest, PDP is controlling 2 states, Osun and Oyo. Okay? Now, Oyo seems to be aligned with Wike's integrity. Is it integrity or
Integrity,
G5?
G5, anything.
And they still put a certain condition in front of Atiku, and that is Ayu must be replaced by a Southerner before the election. Okay? And life must continue. You can't say, yes, because of this problem, then we won't move forward. So they are moving forward. And since Seyi Makinde is still with that, small group that is insisting, then he has to take the other, Southwest state, that is PDP, to replace him. So I think it's in order.
All right, on that note, Kayode Otitoju, thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate your analysis and your insights here on Newsday.